Hey guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 12 is coming up quickly because of the Thanksgiving double slate week. I hope that you guys had a great Thanksgiving with your families, enjoying the food, the family, the football, and the fun. Hopefully you won on the Thanksgiving slate. We're going to go over the winners, the top 10 finishers of the Thanksgiving slate, Smiz Gang Listener League, on the Monday recap on the Fantasy Football channel. So I know it's going to seem like forever away, but congratulations to those who took down tournaments yesterday. I know based on my Twitter mentions that some of you guys had really good Thanksgivings on the DFS side of things and on the family and food side of things. So thank you guys for being here. Let's prep for this weekend slate with the top 5 stacks for this weekend in NFL DFS. Let's go.
He's a legend.
If you are a channel member here on YouTube or a subscriber on Twitch, either one of those things is $5 a month. And that gets you access to the VIP rooms in our subscriber Discord. Go to smizzle.tv/Discord. There'll be a link right down below in the pinned comment. It's also, if you click show more on the description, it's everywhere. You can't miss it. It's in the link tree that you guys have been clicking to join into the Smiz Gang Listener League, smizzle.tv/links. All the links that you ever will need are in that link tree. Make sure you join the Discord community and become a part of the discussion. The top stack of the week is Patrick Mahomes. It's like, now look, obviously, hey, you know what? Just play the best quarterback in the league that's on the slate, right? Like, just do that, forehead. It's a real easy game. But, like, you can't normally get to this stack. But this week, after the prior 2 weeks, week 11 and week 10, when DraftKings had really ratcheted up salaries, they have given us back the wide receiver values. Now, people are going to pontificate on why they think that. Well, you know, Thanksgiving's a big capture week for them. They get new customers in because of Thanksgiving, so they made it a little bit easier. Maybe they listened to all the complaints that myself and a bunch of other long-term players that have a voice industry have had over the last couple of weeks about how it was not fun to make lineups, how the pricing at wide receiver had gotten out of hand. Well, now we have options from 3K to 4,500, like at least 8 of them on this slate. There are a lot of ways that you can get cheap, and because of that, we can afford the Patrick Mahomes stacks. Now, Mahomes himself has been outstanding. We always, in tournaments, especially large field tournaments, you want to target these 30 point plus quarterback days, because that's what really allows us that ceiling to go along with the double stack plays. If you pick 2 wide receivers and you have a game like this where he throws for 3, 4, 3, 5, 3, 4, like Patrick Mahomes has thrown for 3+ touchdowns way more than any other quarterback in the league. That includes Josh Allen, who is another great quarterback who averages like 28 to 31 fantasy points per game. Had a great game on Thanksgiving as well. We can get to Patrick Mahomes lineups, and if you're gonna go with Patrick Mahomes, you more than certainly want to stack through Travis Kelce, right? Because again, a unicorn in his own right. He has like 6 games where he's scored or has had over 80 yards receiving, 115 this week, 80, 106. He's done it 5 weeks in a row. No other, and 5 of the last 6, no other, pardon me, 6 of the last 7, no other tight end has more than 4 games with more than 80 yards receiving. So he gives you this ridiculous floor with DraftKings scoring, specifically full PPR, possibility of the 100-yard bonus, averaging 23.5 fantasy, averaging 23.5 fantasy points per game. Not touchdown reliant, but has done very well in the touchdown category, getting you 11 of those on the year with 4 in the last 2 games. But 23 points without a touchdown here, 22 points without a touchdown here, 15.8. Most tight ends, when you play them, you're hoping to get like 12 if you get 12 fantasy points, you're tripping over yourself because you did super well. Having access to Travis Kelce, to a lesser extent, somebody like Mark Andrews, who has that 25+ point ceiling. And now that we've lost other tight ends that have that, guys like Goddard, Ertz, whatever, it has thinned the position greatly. So now Travis Kelce is a massive separator potentially at the position, not just on average, but ceiling. If you get 30+ points out of your tight end on any week and everybody else has like 8 to 12 points, they have to find 20 more points on their lineup to make that up. So Travis Kelce leading this team in terms of target market share. We still have to monitor Juju Smith-Schuster. He practiced in full on Wednesday. You can practice with a concussion, but still not be cleared to play. Hopefully he is fine and is allowed to go. He's making progress through the concussion protocol. But like, he's got to get cleared from concussion protocol to be able to play in that game. He had been on a tear, getting 8 or more targets in the majority of his games this year. He's in play. If not, We have Hardman on IR, and Tony had his 97th hamstring injury. Marquez Valdes-Scantling has been running a lot of wind sprints. He's in great shape right now, but they don't throw him the ball a whole lot. At 4,000, though, makes him a lot more palatable this week. And then we have two really, really cheap options. In the absence of everybody, Justin Watson played a ton of snaps and ran a ton of routes opposite MVS last week. They really like him. He's min salary at 3K. And then taking over that Hardman role on the gadget plays and out of the slot was Sky Moore after Kadarius Toney left the game. The rookie had his best game of the season, 6 targets, caught 5 balls. If he is the guy that they deploy as the next man up in that Mecole Hardman around the goal line gadget guy role, which is something he is very suited to fill into and now has the opportunity, is also minimum salary. So you can play a bunch of cheap options with Hardman out. Juju Smith-Schuster at 5,700 would be the more expensive one. Valdes-Scantling at 4K, and either one of Watson or Moore at 3K. All very viable options. Let's head over to Underdog Fantasy. Again, that is dependent on Juju Smith-Schuster being in or out. We'll see if he is cleared. Monitor it up until game time. We will know by Sunday morning if he is going to be cleared from concussion protocol or not. If you don't have an account over to Underdog Fantasy, they have these fun pick'ems that you can do hires and lowers, parlay cards up to from 2 to 5 payouts. You can get up to 20 times. If you don't have an account, use promo code ALSMIZZLE. That's ALSMIZZLE, all one word, and you get up to $100 deposit bonus on your first deposit to the site. It's essentially a free bet on any of these pick'em cards. Let's start with Patrick Mahomes. Let's go hires because they're more fun. I'm going to go Travis Kelce higher than 81 yards because he's had higher than 80 yards in 6 of his last 7 games. I need somebody from the other side. They don't have a Ram over there. So let's go with Kenneth Walker over 75 rushing yards. I think that he's got a good chance of getting there. Is going to be really chalky. $50 to win 300. We'll submit that and we'll move on to our next stack. And it's going to be Geno Smith. So we want to attack the Raiders whenever possible. Geno Smith's salary is at a very nice place right now at only 6,000. He's probably going to be one of the cash game options at quarterback for this slate, probably the most popular cash game option because he gives a high floor, consistent touchdowns, double-digit touchdowns in each of the last 4 games. You don't need all that much out of him. He gets you 15 to 20 points in cash, you're fine. And he allows you to not have to go with a bare minimum salary wide receiver. You still can. There are plenty that are available this week between 3K and 4,500. If you find the one that fits into your lineup, you can stuff so many stars around him, and he gives you that like 2K plus savings off of Patrick Mahomes. His wide receivers, if we're going to use Geno Smith double stacks, it's to get off of the supposed Ken Walker Ken Chalker, if you will. And it's very simple to go to the 2 guys that he throws the ball the most to. Tyler Lockett is going to get a lot of usage, and DK Metcalf also going to get a lot of usage. This game has a really high total, 48. Seahawks favored by 4. If he throws for greater than 2 touchdowns, if he gets you 25 plus fantasy points, it is very likely that guys like DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett have had tremendous days, and you can find one of 3 guys to bring it back with. On the Raiders side, Devontae Adams is on an absolute tear. Josh Jacobs is getting tremendous volume at 7,400. A very fashionable and easy game stack to get to in that spot. Take a second, go to smizzle.tv/charity. It is the day after Thanksgiving that I'm recording this. So instead of spending money at a Black Friday sale, take a couple of seconds, go to smizzle.tv/charity and donate. Every single dollar helps to No Kid Hungry. They provide school breakfast and lunches to food insecure kids. Imagine the holiday season, Thanksgiving time to Christmas time, and kids don't know where their next meal is going to come from. They do a great job of providing that at-home care as well as in-school care to kids who need that sort of help. So every single dollar helps. If you've benefited from the content, if you just enjoy the content, if you are being reflective and thankful at this time of year and saying, you know what, I have so much that I can play daily fantasy and just have fun and gamble and do whatever. Here's $20, $50, $100 to try and help the kids out. Be a part of something that's bigger than yourself and help us get to this next match at $50,000 where I will add $10,000 of my own. Every single donation is 100% tax deductible. It will go through Tiltify and they will send you directly to your email box everything you need for your taxes from this year's. Justin Herbert and the Los Angeles Chargers square off against Arizona. You could stack either side of this game, but right now there's a lot of questionable players on Arizona, so I can't really give you the stack options on that side because there's like 4 if-then statements, not just Kyler, but like Dortch and Marquise Brown, if he's going to, there's too many question marks. I think it's an extremely viable stack. I'm going to focus on the Chargers side for now. Justin Herbert is one of my favorite quarterbacks in the league to watch. He is outstanding. He has not had the year that we were projecting or that we thought that he would have building off of last season, but I don't believe that it's Justin Herbert's fault. You cannot lose the wide receivers that Justin Herbert has lost games from this year, with Mike Williams being injured for a chunk of time, Keenan Allen, who is a massive difference maker, and a very easy way for him to pile up yards and completions and touchdowns as the season goes on, when they're just not on the field. And you've got other guys like Carter and Palmer, who has really come along greatly the last month or so after being forced into these situations the whole year. Now at least he has Keenan Allen back. They still have Austin Eckler, who I believe that you can utilize with your stacks with Herbert if you so choose. You can break that rule with this specific team. Looking at the flex spot, we can put Eckler in this spot, still on pace to break the receiving record, the receptions record, by one after this 2 reception game last week. But you can see the difference when they get Keenan Allen and for half the game Mike Williams back in this spot. They don't have to throw the ball to Austin Eckler 12 15 times in order for them to compete, because he has options on the outside. And with a guy like Herbert, he wants to challenge downfield. He needs wide receiver options for him to be the best version of himself for fantasy that he can be. Austin Eckler, 8,500. Most people will play one or the other. You can differentiate by playing both. And then coming through the wide receivers, Mike Williams, probably not going to play this weekend. Missed a bunch of practice because he re-injured that ankle. I could see them being a little bit careful with him, which means that 2 guys, Keenan Allen at 6,100 is still criminally cheap. He was a 7K, 6,700 wide receiver early in the season before the injuries, right? This is before the injury. Got injured week 1, came back from the injury in week 7. Against Kansas City, they had him at 5,400. That was an island game, so it doesn't really count. At 6,100 this week, seems like an easy spot for 6,100 to get like 8+ targets. And I mentioned how Josh Palmer has really come on of late. The last 4 games, 14.7, 21.6, had that dud against San Francisco, but like, they're the Russian judge. We can throw out any outcomes against San Francisco. They're too tough a defense, much like Philly, same idea. 33.6 against Kansas City. Now, while I'm not expecting 33.6 fantasy points, because he did catch that 50-yard touchdown, it shows what his role can be when he is not expected to be the guy. As he slots better as a wide receiver 3 right now. Without Williams, he's going to slot as a wide receiver 2. The attention's going to go to Austin Eckler and to Keenan Allen. So Josh Palmer gets to run against single coverage when they go to their quarter beaters, when they go to different. That's what the play that resulted in that 50-yard touchdown. He can get loose against the slot. He can find open spots and get down the seam or run post routes or corners and get to spots where he can take advantage, or Herbert can take advantage of everything that he brings along with him. So 2 of this trio is going to be very popular, and there will be bring back options on Arizona if Rondale Moore is out and Dortch plays, and Dortch is like 3,100. Obviously, Nuke Hopkins is fantastic play. James Conner at running back. We like to stream running backs against the Chargers whenever we can, and he's going to get the majority of the work there. So these Charger stacks extremely viable this weekend. Joe Burrow may get Jamar Chase back this week. He might be on a pitch count. Still had 4 touchdowns last week, 3 of them going to Sammy P. Ryan after Joe Mixon left the game. Mixon right now did not practice in the walkthrough yesterday. Again, another situation we have to monitor. The Thanksgiving kind of walkthrough day for practice. We have to get the Friday practice reports in full. We'll figure everything out on Saturday. It's an if-then statement for now. Everybody's going to play P. Ryan if Mixon's out, which makes Burrow stacks good leverage off of that kind of chalky play, especially coming off of a 3-touchdown game last week for Piran. As I said with Mixon, remained sidelined at practice on Thursday, did not practice. Jamar Chase has practiced in limited fashion. Monitor the Friday practice. He may carry a designation along with him. If he plays, we have to see if they're going to have him play a limited amount of snaps, play a certain amount of snaps. He might play 50% of snaps, ease him back in against Tennessee, or they may say, you know what, this is a divisional matchup. We just got to let him fly. If he's out there to be out there, not out there to kind of test things out. They didn't put him on IR for a reason. We had guessed on this channel that, hypothetically, that this was going to be the week that they targeted for him to be back, because they could have put him on IR and had him skip this week. but they figured that there was going to be a shorter recovery. That's why they didn't utilize the injury reserve for him when they had that injury designation. I believe that if Jamar Chase is out there, that just makes Joe Burrow a better quarterback. More options never hurts the quarterback in terms of efficiency. You're going to make the decision based on what we find out whether he is going to be the play or not. I do like Hayden Hurst at 3,300 as a salary relief valve when tied to Joe Burrow. And then at wide receiver, T. Higgins coming off of a massive day without Jamar Chase. I like him better with Jamar Chase in the lineup. And I know that that sounds counterproductive, but it's something that eats up defenders. T. Higgins is an extremely good wide receiver, and we saw last week against Pittsburgh, 13 targets, caught 9 of them, 148. He is a borderline alpha, right? At this point in his career, like Kenny Galladay, like 3 years ago, like these young guys who operate best as a 2, but like they can operate as a team's 1. When you put somebody with T. Higgins' talent, youth, athleticism opposite a major alpha in Jamar Chase, the defenses have to roll to Chase's side, which leaves him in one-on-one coverage, which allows him to have a really high floor because of what he can do with those guys, and then leaves him in one-on-one situations around the goal line and inside the end zone. Tyler Boyd would benefit greater if Chase was out, but this is the 4 that you're most likely using to leverage off of all of the usage that's going to be coming for Samaje Perine at 5,600 in the case that Joe Mixon is labeled out in that game. And finishing things off, I have no puke stack for you this week. There's no need for a puke stack this week because there is so much value out there on the slate that we can afford all the premiums. Why use puke stacks when the premiums are just so tasty? Guys, guess what? Tua is a good quarterback, and he throws for a lot of yards and throws for a lot of touchdowns. And the majority of those touchdowns and yards are going to Tyreek Hill and are going to Jalen Waddle. Seems like a pretty easy every week double stack to me. If you want to get outside of it, like, and play around with the Trent Sherfield at 3,200 for value and leverage off of the obvious Tua double, I get that. If you want to go with Mike Gesicki and pray for touchdowns, Gesicki's routes, snaps, and targets go way, way down any week that Durham Smythe is on the field. He gets most of the run because he is a better blocker, a more active blocker. So the games that Smythe is active, you're essentially only gambling that Gesicki is going to score a touchdown, kind of like he did against Detroit in this game. Only got 4 targets, got you 12 points. Really low floor, very thin play. I would probably stick to these doubles and then differentiate elsewhere. But because there's going to be another massive chalk play on this team with Jeff Wilson, as they are favored by about 87 points. Check the sports book, but I think I'm close that the Dolphins are favored over Houston, and we want to run, we want to play running backs against Houston all year long. They're so bad against opposing running backs. They play from behind a ton. It leads to more rushing game scripts for their opponents. They also aren't efficient at stopping the run. They allow running backs to get like 2.5 yards past the line of scrimmage before first contact. They do not tackle very well. They allow like 159 yards to opposing running backs per game, which is like a league high, and 29 rush attempts per game to opposing running backs, which is also a league high. So Jeff Wilson's going to be the chalk play. I'm not going to stack Jeff Wilson in my Tua stacks. I would be playing Tua stacks to get off of and leverage the main chalk in Wilson, and possibly off of him, people are going to play Mostert to try and leverage off of Wilson. This is your way to get there. If Tua throws for 3 touchdowns in the first half, which is entirely possible, you're going to have yourself a nice little situation to sit with and maybe find a value play on Houston to bring it back with. So thank you guys for watching. Drop a like, subscribe to the channel. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.